And Jack Dyer. Bob Davis on the interchange bench this morning, not very well, I think, from the shock of yesterday's football.
Well, he's terribly upset because Baker played so well, so he's fleed to the snow, right?
Another 5
Right, let's talk. Righto. Let's talk about the defences of the games yesterday. Peter Keenan.
Yes, well, you can look at the Essendon defence now, magnificent. They held out everywhere, 5 goals. They had kicked on them yesterday, and Ronnie Andrews kicked the 3 of them. And you look at Collingwood's defence, and there was holes in them. Taylor really didn't get a kick. McCormick did a fair job. Young McKeon, too much for him. Murray Brown, well, he had 4 goals kicked on him in the first quarter. Phillips tried hard, but it was too slow. And David Turming, I couldn't work out why they put him on the bench, but you know, the Essendon's defence, they were just everywhere. Weston was good. Young Mark Thompson had a bad game last week, came back into it. And, you know, Hurd was a tag, and Kevin Walsh centre half-back play. Well, there's Shane Hurd. Gee, he works well. He's Nobby Clark. I hope Clark plays because he gives a bit of dash. Weston, you know, he was an interstate captain, and he gives a Nes Peter Bradbury. They're real dashers, and they back themselves up. They get in front of their opponents, and they make the big one of getting 2 players onto the ball and helping each other out. And they're really, I suppose, a very disciplined defence, whereas Collingwood's defence really looked ragged. They were running everywhere.
You must admit, though, Crackers, that the Collingwood defence was under a tremendous pressure. The amount of times the ball was coming out of the centre, whereas Essendon had no pressure whatsoever.
I know, and, you know, I suppose they tried reasonably hard, but I can honestly say, well, the Collingwood defence tried reasonably hard to do so. Murray Brandy played all right, but the ball came down, and it was delivered in a precise manner to the forwards of Essendon, and Collingwood's backs really couldn't do anything about it, but they wouldn't play in front. Look at Bradbury's in front, they're feeding off, they're running down, and, you know, they're running past, there's Thompson there, and Bradbury's still backing up for the hand pass. That's a very good back line, and they're working to a plan. And when they move into the forward line, they create space, and that's a problem that Collingwood's defence couldn't handle.
Peter, why did Toomey go off the ground in the first quarter? I thought he was doing a reasonable job at that stage on Danaher. Then as soon as he went off the ground, Morwood came on.
I just couldn't work.
Apparently he was sick. Young Toomey had a stomach upset and was feeling dizzy, and he went off the ground. He called to go off the ground, and apparently he got over it and came back on again.
He played quite well. I wouldn't have had Morwood on the ground.
Peter, were you surprised that they left young McKeon on Vanderhaar for so long?
Yes, I believe they almost chopped the kid up yesterday. I would have sort of got him away because Vanderhaar was on fire. You know, I think he played about 38 minutes and taken 10 marks, 10 kicks and that. And Vanderhaar in full cry is not for a second.
They had nothing to lose. Phillips wasn't getting a touch, so they could have swapped the two, and they couldn't lose anything.
He almost broke that kid yesterday.
Peter, did yesterday's win just emphasise how far ahead Hawthorn and Essendon of the other 10 sides in the competition?
Yes, you know, we all were hoping that Collingwood could do something for the last couple of weeks. They've showed tremendous fighting spirit, but they just weren't in the class.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is that it was a foregone conclusion before the grand final that these two would be playing in it.
Yes.
Crackers, why don't they pick their man up now? Like, when a run comes like that, well, what's those backmen doing down there with no one with them? Can you tell me that?
Well, it's a running style football.
Running style
Jack,
football.
And it's wrong, and I know it's wrong, and you've all got a man, and you should have one in the back
There
line.
was 4 players came down from the forward line, from the back line of Essendon. 4 of them came down there and had a bit of a raffle there once between the 4 of them.
Well, you were taught in our day too, Jack, that the forward plays a defensive role as well as an attacking role, and they forget all about it's the lack of concentration. That's what it is.
Collingwood's back line, Taylor's slow, McCormick's not real fast, McKeon's slow, Brown's reasonably slow, and Phillips is slow. Snow was following Phillips around all day, killed it in the finish.
That was when the coach should have sent out runners everywhere and said, now find your man, see if you can find him, and then stay with him. Well, you're just for 10 minutes, that's all, and bring it back to normal. What happened? Not a word was said at all. And here's the poor backman there, you're getting caught in between. It was the fellas up the top was doing all the damage. The centre line, the half-back flankers, the back pockets, they were coming down.
Discipline, the other side did not.
How did you vote for yesterday's game, Peter?
Yes, well, I gave, I've got my votes here somewhere, I've got to find them now. I gave 1 vote to, let me have a look.
Pretty confident about it.
Baker, shut up, Louis. Baker, I gave 1 vote. He was going terribly well in the first half. He was looking for best man on the ground. He faded a bit and got back into it. I gave 2 votes to Daisy Williams, young Darren Williams. He roved the packs and fed off Madden and Merritt and was there all the time. And I gave 3 votes to Terry Danaher, who I'm glad Essendon have got him. He is a knight in shining armour. He just puts in all the time, and geez, he's probably one of the best footballers in Australia at the moment.
OK, we'll be talking with Peter McKenna and John Newman about forwards in just a moment in the Westpac Footy Panel.
Westpac brings you Advantage Saver Plus, the personal banking package that gives you all the advantages of Australia's most advanced electronic banking system. Advantages like access to your money at more times and in more places, high interest on your savings, plus checks totally free of bank charges, and gives you the card. Advantage Saver Plus from Westpac, the bank.
When I suggested the budget executives do some training before work, they thought I was kidding. Now, they're not so sure. Feeling fitter hasn't hurt them, and it's typical of the budget approach that also asks our execs to spend at least one day a month behind the actual rental desk, keeping in touch with the people who really count, the customers. It's just another way that budget drives your dollar further.
Mr. Chairman, it's clearly
a matter of style,
which we've outlined
in this report.
And we're certain your reaction will be...
I like this.
Well, the committee is quite confident.
You'd like to know.
Who chose this copying paper?
It's reflex.
So white, clean.
The moisture content is computer controlled.
Made in Australia.
Reflex? Oh, yes.
I like your style. Join me at the club for lunch.
Peter, how did you see the forward play yesterday?
Well, I mentioned earlier, I think the forward play depends tremendously on who gets the ball out of the centre, and Collingwood were badly beaten around the centre pack area, and, well, there's one of the players that did the damage, Neagle, coming down the ground, belting it down to the forward line. And I think the difference, of course, was the marking power. Van der Haar, he had 9 kicks in one quarter. He took mark after mark. Danaher, 13 marks for the game. There he is again, Van der Haar. And, of course, Baker. That was a great coaching move by Kevin Sheedy to have Baker on that half-forward line. His skills certainly showed out in that match. So you see the way he read that off the pack there beautifully, and a good kick for goal. And their rovers also. Darren Williams was dangerous. Ezard was dangerous when he was down there. Down the other end of the ground, of course, there's Baker again. You see that little balk there, and use of the ball was tremendous to Van der Haar. Down the other end, I want to give a big rap to Ronnie Andrews. I mean, Crackers wrote him off halfway through the year. I know he's a mate of Ronnie's, but, you know, it was a gutsy effort by Andrews, and he certainly let the Essendon defenders know he was around. And, you know, for Ronnie Andrews at his age and ability at the moment to be Collingwood's best forward is a disgrace, really, on the Collingwood club yesterday. Banks, I thought, tried very hard at centre-half forward against Walsh. I thought it was a pretty even contest, but Dennis didn't give up right throughout the day. There was a good use of the body there by Ron Andrews. I thought Peter Dacos was a very disappointing player. I thought that Hurd put him right out of business, and Peter's a better player than that. Young McMullen was out of business. I think you'd agree with that, Sam. There's Banks. He moved around and did create opportunities, but they just didn't have enough good players on the day.
Well, look, it was a disgraceful performance by Collingwood, because I don't think anyone really minds if a side loses, or even if they get beaten by a big margin. But to get beaten by a margin when you don't have a go, and you couldn't, and I agree with Peter that Ron Andrews, it is an indictment on the rest of the Collingwood players that a man who hasn't even played in the seniors for most of this year can come out there and show at least some spirit and show some personal pride at getting beaten. He wanted to play well for himself, first and foremostly, and that should be the first thing that you worry about in football, playing well for yourself, and then worry about everything else. And I tell you what, if there's one good thing come out of this game, it will be the fact that this will be the beginning of the end of a large player payments, because no one is going to put up with paying players $50 and $60 and $70,000, $100,000 when they play like that yesterday. And the unfortunate thing about Collingwood is there's not one of those players on the ground yesterday would have got a game in Essendon's side.
Sam, the players you were talking about, Abernathy and Dacos, their game yesterday, the chances they gave their forwards would, you know, really, they were a disgrace, weren't they?
No, I wasn't talking about those. I didn't mention any players. If you're talking about...
it was terrible the way they played.
I wasn't talking about... When you're talking about large player payments, I wasn't talking...
The contribute...
Well, they were disgraceful. I mean, you talk about players being slow on their feet to not pick their men up, and I agree with Jack. They're not slow on their feet, they're slow in their brain. I mean, the first fundamental of football when things go against you is to grab hold of the bloke you're on so he doesn't beat you. Surely.
Sam and Peter, Dacos and Richardson have been criticised because they've been tagged and they can't handle the situation. Now, what would you do, Peter, if you had a guy like Hurd tagging you as Dacos had?
Well,
now, what's the method to get rid of that bloke? This is a question of both of you.
There's two methods, Lou. One is, and it's probably not in the nature of the two guys, you've got to give a backhander and stir something up. It's not in the rules of the game. You've got to do something when under pressure like that. Russell Green copped it last week. Or else you've just got to keep running around the ground and shake him off. He'll get sick of running, but Hurd's a hard man to shake off.
What about you, Sam?
Well, look, I agree with that, but the first thing...
There's got to be a solution to it.
You wouldn't be in a football side if you didn't have some initiative as how to read and play a game. So if things are going against you or your side, first of all, the thing is to defend. And then when you see your opportunity, you've got to back what skill and judgment you've got and go out and get the ball. Now, you've got to have a happy medium between defending and then attacking at the right opportunity, not just roaming around trying to pick kicks up and, jumping off a sinking ship and trying to play well yourself in the end. You've got to try and read the game or you wouldn't be in the side in the first place, surely.
How did you vote for yesterday's game, Peter?
Well, the votes I gave, one vote to Shane Hurd, 2 weeks in a row, a tremendous effort of stopping, and he picked up kicks himself. He put Collingwood's danger man out of the game, Peter Dacos. I gave 2 votes to definitely one of the most honest players playing league football, Terry Danaher. I've never seen him play a bad game, Terry. And 3 votes to greatly improved player Darren Williams. His kick-winning ability, his handball and goal kicking was a pleasure to watch yesterday.
Well, I didn't give Darren Williams a vote, not because he didn't deserve it, just because I thought there was a couple of others ahead of him, and I also would have nearly given Peter Bradbury one. But I gave 1 vote to Leon Baker for the best half of forward football I've seen from a player for 10 years. I gave 2 to Terry Danaher, who, as Peter said, played a magnificent game, and I gave 3 to Glenn Hawker on the wing, who I thought played a terrific game all day.
Thank you, gentlemen. Lou, I know you want to ask that question.
Well, I'd like to ask Jack the same question that I asked Sam and Peter. What would you do, Jack?
Don't ask me questions. I know what you did to Oppie.
We'll be back. We'll be back to talk about the centre lines with Lou Richards and Kevin Bartlett in the Westpac Footy Panel in just a moment.
We know a place where the whole family can get together and get away from it all, where you can be kept very busy doing very little, and so can the kids. And from October 10 to December 10, children under 12 can fly to Fiji with you with the help of Qantas or Air Pacific for just $75 return. Don't you wish the whole world was like this? Fiji, the way the world should be.
Where are you when you get the greatest deal in Melbourne on the 1-2 challenge against Toyota? You guessed it, New Oakley Motors. Now here's the challenge to World of Sport viewers. If you test drive a Ford light truck, Ford will pay $50 to any customer who then purchases and takes delivery of one of the selected range of Toyota light trucks in September after test driving a Courier, Econovan Maxi or Spectron at New Oakley Motors. Or Ford will pay $500 direct to all approved customers who buy and take delivery of a new Courier, Econovan Maxi or Spectron in September. New Oakley Motors have been in the business for over 25 years, so they know the light truck market. They're at 239 Ferntree Gully Road, Notting Hill, and remember, here's a great opportunity to buy a Ford light truck, a brand newie. Well, as the Bombers were a knockout yesterday, you too could do a knockout deal tomorrow. Hurry, because this offer closes September 29 and not applicable to certain government and fleet sales.
LMCT 414.
Well, back to the Westpac Footy Panel and talking about yesterday's preliminary final. Kevin Bartlett lead us off on the centre plate.
Well, I just heard Sammy Newman say Glenn Hawker played a marvellous game, and he certainly did, because he picked up a very dangerous player in Bruce Abernathy, who's been in marvellous form right throughout this final series. But there's no doubt that Abernathy had to lower his colours yesterday simply because of the good play of Glenn Hawker. We just saw then Darren Mullane. I thought he was the best wingman on the ground. Mullane played a marvellous game, and for a youngster just coming into the Collingwood side, he really showed some of the older players and maybe some of the more expensive buys just what it was taken or does take to play good finals football. He got in first, he chased hard, he delivered the ball very well, and certainly he was a winner for them on that centre line. It was very disappointing when we look at Neagle and Folds. I felt both those players flashed in and out of the game, but certainly not giving the drive to the centre line that Sheedy would have liked. On a couple of occasions, Neagle ran through the ground, set up a couple of long kicks and hand passes, but both times throughout the game we saw Folds and Neagle off the ground at different stages on the interchange bench. In the centre, as I said, Hawker was a marvellous player. I would believe that he really did stop the Collingwood's chances, particularly once Rains was unable to take his place in the side, and Abernathy was expected to do a lot for Collingwood, because let's not forget that last year he played a great game in the preliminary final for North Melbourne, voted best on the ground, and he's been a proven finals player. So certainly Hawker did a marvellous job tagging and putting him completely out of the game.
So you think the only trap Essendon may fall into, and they did a bit yesterday, as they're too frilly, tend to be too smart and clever with the ball when they have the ascendancy.
I thought, Sam, that after half-time there was a period where they did really fool around with the ball. It was a really fancy dance sort of stuff, but gee whiz, when you're so far in front and there's no opposition, it becomes a bit like a training run.
Lou, how did you see the centres?
Well, I agree with Pete. I thought that Hawker played a great game in the centre. I was terribly disappointed with Abernathy's performance. Kevin, I should say. Who did I say? Peter. And no doubt, I think you hit the nail on the head about young Mullane. He certainly set the pattern, or showed his older teammates how to go about it. It wasn't so much Collingwood getting beaten. I think Sam said before that we don't care, or supporters don't care if you get beaten by 80 points, as long as you show a bit of effort or show a bit of spirit. And there was certainly a lot of spirit lacking there yesterday. And Mullane did have spirit, and no doubt Collingwood's best player. And I thought that possibly the other boy on the other wing, Ricky Barham, did try. He had a bad trot for a quarter and a bit, but he's not on the wing, Jack. We're talking about wing play. There's, I'll tell you what, it's the back line, half back line, centre line, half forward line, full forward line, rucks, rovers, interchange players. We are on wings and centre men. Now, don't upset me that I'm in a bad humour.
You're in a bad humour.
Yeah, we should say that about Ricky Barham, because he actually fought out that game very well, and he's been criticised pretty heavily in recent years for his finals performances. And I thought yesterday that Ricky Barham was one of the few Collingwood players to really put him...
That fought it out.
Well, I don't know, Lou, what's your thoughts on the game? You've been going
this man's going mental. What's he talking about? We've been sitting here for 25 minutes with you.
I just can't realise that a side could go out and play so bad.
Well, that's the thing that I'm terribly disappointed. Now, all the Collingwood supporters are was the effort.
How good they were. And
who said that?
You've been saying that, and your brother. And
you've got him on there. Can't he tell you what's wrong with him?
You've been writing.
Oh, we've got you, the parrot, while he does. Go on, you keep on backing him up now. Go on. Now, what do you want? Get it off your chest, Jack.
I can't get it off my chest at all. But
oh, there's another Dicky Bird popping his spin in too. Look at him.
The big double. In
fact, I want you to apologise now.
Reserves game,
I want you to apologise to all the Geelong people for ever having the audacity to call them the handbags.
Well, I think Collingwood must have borrowed the handbags from them, because I did mention earlier in the year that they played like hacks at one game, and they were certainly hacks yesterday. There's no doubt about that.
And
I'd like to congratulate Bob Davis on his judgment on Baker too, because he got my third vote. He played a great game, and of course he helped to set up the win for Essendon, and had Van der Haar stayed on the ground, he would have been the best player on the ground by a mile, because I don't think I've ever seen the Flying Dutchman play a better game in his life. He was sensational, but unfortunately he went off the ground, and let's hope for Essendon's sake he's okay next week. I gave 2 votes to Terry Danaher. No doubt the best skipper in the business. I shouldn't say that, because Lee Matthews is pretty good too, but a sensational player, and a player that lifts his side with everything he does. And my 3 votes went to young Williams, a perfect Rovers game, and there was no stopping this young fella. He's going to be a menace next week too.
Kevin?
Well, I gave 1 vote to Shane Hurd. I thought he did a marvellous job on Peter Dacos, who had kicked 7 goals the week before. I gave 2 votes to Darren Williams, a magnificent rover. Certainly I think he could next year be the very best rover in the competition. And I gave 3 votes to Leon Baker, because he really took this game right away from Collingwood with a magnificent first quarter. 6 goals from the half-forward flank, something like 27, 28 possessions. I gave him my 3 votes.
Go on, you're in your sarcastic best mood now. What do you want to say now?
I just wanted to know, do you compare the show out there last night?
Johnny Ray was singing Cry.
It certainly wasn't a comic, I'll tell you that now. Oh, it's your turn now. Come on, the little parrot. What do you want to say?
No.
Go on, push the button at the back, Jack.
Bob Skilton and Jack Dyer to talk about the Rucks and the Rovers in just a moment.
Timber is the most naturally beautiful building material around. And however you use it, Cabots know the right way to treat it. You see, timber is the only thing we care for, with just the right stain for any surface, inside or out. To bring out the best in wood, bring out the Cabots, the only way beautiful timber should be treated.
If you do your own oil change, you can save a few dollars by using a cheap oil. But you might not save your engine. It's not worth risking a cheap oil. Your expensive engine deserves the protection of new Mobil Super Drop. The first oil to combine friction modifiers with 20,000 kilometers of engine protection. New Mobil Super Drop.
I think we might give the Westpac Footy Panel a moment or two to cool down, because Jack and Lou just aren't quite agreeing about Collingwood at the moment. However, while they're doing that, we're taking you to Stephen Phillips in the City Square for the official opening of VFL Grand Final week.
Yes, a nice crowd here at the City Square, and with us we have the President of the VFL to make the official opening of Grand Final week, Dr. Alan Aylett.
Well, Stephen, it does give me a great deal of pleasure today in the City Square before all these hundreds of people to officially open Grand Final week. The clock on the Town Hall is just striking 12:05, and we've got a very, very exciting week for the people of Melbourne and the people of Victoria.
Well, maybe you could tell us about some of the functions we've got planned.
Well, of course, tomorrow night we start with the Brownlow Medal Night, a very, very exciting event which will be televised through Channel 7, and just about every day in the City Square we have events, entertainment, and all of the superstars from VFL clubs conversing with the public and running clinics, giving things away. It'll be a great week of festivities, and of course coming up on Friday we have now what is a very, very famous parade from Parliament House down to the City Mall, and both teams will be participating in that event. And then, of course, that leads us into a great day next Saturday, Grand Final day itself.
It's a really gala day. It's going to something like 45 million people live on television.
Yes, that's right. The world-wide rights have been concluded now, and it's estimated that 45 million people throughout the world will be seeing this year's Grand Final. And Stephen, I do believe that it is ranked as one of the top 10 sporting events worldwide. So we're very, very pleased, of course, to put it on for this city of Melbourne and our great country, Australia.
I know we're just going back a day and out of Grand Final week officially, but wasn't VFL Park a complete picture yesterday after 4.5 inches of rain?
Yes, it was magnificent. It really stood up well to the 3 games, and there wasn't a dirty mark on the players' shorts. And all in all, considering the amount of work that was done on the ground last summer, it has turned out to be an outstanding success and a great showpiece, really, for Australian sport.
Alan, thank you for being with us on this show. There's the cup, the 2 coaches behind us. The atmosphere is really building up, and all we can say is it promises to be a wonderful week and a great climax.
Yes, and Stephen, I think that we should also acknowledge the enormous contribution that all the players from the 12 league clubs have put into the season, and of course it's culminating now with the players of Essendon and Hawthorn taking part in the event, but it has been a great contribution and sacrifice by those players week after week after week now for 9 months of the year to get to the stage that we're at, and I think that the players of all clubs, and particularly Hawthorn and Essendon, should be congratulated.
Alan, thank you very much for joining us on World of Sport, and we'll go back to Ron Casey and the boys on the panel.
Thanks, Stephen. Yes, things have settled down a little better now. Jack, everything okay?
Yes, everything's okay now again, Ron. I'm back to normal.
He's happy.
Yeah, I'm very happy this morning.
Why are you so happy?
Well,
Under 19s in the final.
Yes, they won well too.
Is it because Collingwood lost by so much?
No, Richmond Thirds won.
Are you pleased that Collingwood lost?
What?
Are you pleased?
I would not care whether they won or lost. They don't interest me at all. I like them because they play football. That's the only thing I like about them. I told you before I wouldn't look at TV in black and white, so you know what I think about. So back to Ruckman again, Ron, because I just... Just one thing, I think they've got to get rid of that line. They're introducing ruckman in the league now. That's not half ruckman at all now, not quarter ruckman at the present time. And I think they've got to get rid of that line and get back to normal again and get the 6-foot ruckman back in the game, or the 6'1" ruckman back in the game that'll attack the ball, because they've got now fellas coming into that centre there that would not dare come into the centre when the real men were playing in the ruck. They wouldn't dare come near the centre, some of those centre-half forwards and those half wingers coming in there and rushing in for the ball-up decision. They'd have been put right back out of the game. They'd been frightened to go in there. Every time they bounce, they miss the knockout. In goes 22 players around in the circle. Now, if that's good for football, I'll eat my hat. So get the good players back in the game. Very big bouquets to Madden once again. He showed them how ruck work should be done. He hit the ball out beautifully. He gave the Rovers a buggy ride when they were in there. And if those fellas hadn't crowded around the centre, he'd have been a bit more better player too, because he had no opposition. He couldn't call that opposition from fellas, and also Derek Shaw. They just don't know much about football at all. They're built tall. That's all their trouble is in football.
Carl made a mistake by leaving Derek Shaw on the ground in the first 15 minutes when he was really getting beaten. He had Big Wes fellow on the bench, and who didn't do a real bad job when he got on.
I don't know who's the best out of those two. Like, you've got to find that out. But at the present time, they're not in the same class as the big fella from Madden. Not in the same class.
Jack, I agree with what you say. Just how do you think taking the line out of the game will improve the ruck work?
Yes, I think it'll bring back the 6'2" that can run and jump in the air again.
But that's got nothing to do with the line, no?
My word, it's at that line. They've got all those players around that line outside, that square.
Oh, the square, you're not talking about
and
the
also
line.
the line too.
Oh, the line.
And they can go any side they wanted to in the ruckman too, and let them go. But just because two blokes wrestled or something, they brought a line in and spoilt the whole game as far as ruckwork's concerned. And then we bring Walsh. I put Walsh in this too, because that's how bad ruckwork's getting. Like, he's never been in the ruck before. We've never heard of him in the ruck before. He's got in there and got about 7 knockouts, one after the other.
Doing as they liked at that stage.
I know they were doing as they liked, Bob, but they aren't doing as they like too. They just didn't go and do as they like.
Without being brutal like he used to play. Give him a bit of credit for that.
All right, yes, I tell you
what. Is skillful, Madden's skillful.
You know what you were saying there. You was asking them what you'd do when you were tagged.
Yeah.
Now, I saw you.
I knew you couldn't resist.
I saw you go the slipper one day when you were getting tagged.
How did you see the Rovers, Bob?
Well, Jack mentioned tagging. I felt that Collingwood made a bad tactical error right at the start. I know that Tony Shaw did a great job one day tagging Wayne Johnston, but to use your most prolific kick winner and ball getter as Tony Shaw, as a defensive player on Watson, I just couldn't understand it. Even though Tony Shaw picked up his share of kicks still, they were in defence, they were not being constructive, and he wasn't able to bring Collingwood into the play. Talking about the tagging, you've got Dacos. I think that if Dacos had gone then and tagged, say, Darren Williams, then Essendon have to decide, do they want Dacos on 2 players, or where are they going to do with Hurd? But Collingwood at no stage tried to do anything like that. Clark put Richardson out of business, and, Clark would be a vital player. He'd be a big loss to Essendon if the concussion that he received yesterday keeps him out of the side.
What was your reaction? Because you were tagged for 14 years. What did you do to these guys?
Just run and run and run and pick somebody else up.
Pick up another Brownlow medal.
Yeah.
How'd you vote yesterday, Bob?
You must have had the solution to it.
I gave 1 vote to Shane Hurd. I thought that he put Dacos right out of business, and no matter where Dacos went, Hurd had the better of him right throughout. 2 votes to Terry Danaher, a wonderful leader. He opens up the forward line, leads, and really makes space for other players to come down the ground. 3 votes I gave to Darren Williams. I thought he rove to perfection right throughout the game, not just on the ball, but around the half-forward line. He was a dangerous player right throughout.
And Jack, how did you
I went to Vanderhaar and thanked him very much
for a game.
I wouldn't care what he played, Lou. I was more interested in watching him in action than I ever watched the football in my life. It was a highlight of the game. That his 14 kicks there and his 9 marks, one after the other.
Was superb.
Had his 5 goals, and his 5 goals was absolutely amazing in my book. That's old time football. That was that the centre half forward that can play football, and by Jove, didn't he play it? Kicks with either foot, does everything you want. one. Might be a bit temperamental, but that's nothing at all, so I gave him one vote.
He played the forward
Another
pocket.
one, too, that only played half a game. I gave him 2 votes, to Baker. He kicked 6 goals and set up 5. If you can't do any more, let's go home and leave them all to it and try and get it.
But I can guess
And the other one, of course, was Williams. He didn't cost anything. He's an uncosted footballer, this fellow. Uncosted, yes. Didn't have to pay for him at all. He put on a beautiful exhibition of Raven. Remind me of you, Lou, when you hate at a hell of a lot faster.
OK, we'll be back to check the point scores and also to talk about some of the big events of the coming week with the Westpac Footy Panel.
Westpac makes managing your money a lot easier by giving you a one-card way to bank. For faster service in our branches, 24-hour access to handy banks right across Australia, and a handy way to pay for things you need and get your extra cash as well. A convenient way to shop or bank with just one card. You choose either a Westpac MasterCard or a Westpac card, because the card is the bank and the bank is Westpac.
Gee, I love that Tetley tea break. And of course, with these Tetley tea breaks, you've got so much choice as far as your packets are concerned. 100 Tetley tea breaks for cups with a little string for wiggling. You've got the teapot bags, 2 to 3 strong cups per bag. That's economy, but it's good tea, always good tea, Tetley. Then you've got the big 200 economy packs. It's a perfect way to drink your tea. So I'm saying good luck to you from Tetley. Superb it is. Tetley tea, the perfect break.
The biggest ever new car sale starts 9 a.m. this Wednesday. It's the Nissan Grand Final Savings Marathon. Here's Lou to tell you more about it.
That's right, Nissan dealers will want to end the footy season on a high note. So it'll be the best time ever to buy a new Nissan. Savings will be unbelievable, and dealers will stay open as long as it takes you to get into one of their cars. It all starts this Wednesday and ends with the Bounce the Ball Grand Final Day.
Right, because the figures for the voting yesterday, for the preliminary final, Williams got 16 votes, Danaher 11, Baker 8, Hawker 3, Hurd 3, and Van der Haar got 1 vote by courtesy of Jack Dyer. Well, there's some big events coming up this grand final week, and of course tomorrow night at 8:30, live telecast from the Southern Cross Hotel, the 1984 Brownlow medal. Jack, who do you think will wear the medal at around about 10:30 tomorrow night?
I still think Moore will win the medal again. He knows how to win one, and I think he's had a good season. He'll win it again.
Well, I think either Moore or Madden, for the reason that they just ahead of Lee, because I think Lee chats a bit to the umpires and they're just human, and I believe Madden and Moore just don't play that type of game, and they'd be my favourites.
Peter?
Yes, I think Peter Moore too, Ron. I think in a side, not many players would have taken votes off Peter this year, and very conspicuous, and he did have a great season.
Kevin Bartlett?
Well, I think that Mark Lee of Richmond will win the Brownlow medal. He's polled very well 2 out of the last 4 years, and this year Richmond's had a very poor season. I think that he's easily been Richmond's outstanding player. I think Peter Moore and Simon Madden will be the big dangers.
Well, I like Peter Moore, but he really had a good year. Simon Madden had a good year, but Moore, blonde hair, running down the ground, running type player, yes, will win it.
Well, one guy should know something about it. Bob Skilton.
I like Simon Madden or Tony Shaw. Both Simon Madden's ruckwork is great, and Tony Shaw continually wins the ball, so they're my two.
Well, I'm going for someone a little bit different, not the same as a pen. I'm going for a guy that's hasn't played a bad game this year, and he's played in a side that hasn't been so outstanding. It's Stephen Talbot from the Swans.
Oh, that's Cases.
What?
That's Cases. Pick. You're only telling me Casey.
No, he didn't. He never picked
Bob
him.
Davis has just thrown himself off hands grimaces at
Bob Davis said, I'll hand me 3 Brownlows back, if that's right.
Right.
Look, he's got a chance. He won't win it, but he's got a darn good chance,
Well,
mate.
who will win it? We don't want to know who's got a chance. We know who'll win it then.
Well, I reckon...
Gave a lot of thought, Lou.
Yeah, he's given us a lot
I'll
of
go...
Rossi Fisher.
Actually, I'm not... Who?
Ross Fisher, he's got a chance.
Green.
I think Russell Green or Peter Moore.
What about Klomp?
Klomp's got a big chance. He's at least won the television.
Next Saturday, of course, 8:30 or so is the first game on Grand Final Day. It's the Under-19s Grand Final, North Melbourne and Richmond. Peter, you've seen some of the Under-19 games. What do you think?
Yes, so 2 very good sides too. Richmond played particularly well yesterday, Ron, and North Melbourne have been the favourites right throughout the year. A very big side and a very good side, coached by Dennis Pagan. I think North Melbourne go in slight favourites, but Richmond will give them a good shake.
And the reserves Grand Final, the Channel 7 Reserves Cup. It's Melbourne and Carlton. What about you, Peter? How do you feel about that?
Melbourne will win the reserves. They've only got the one player in Melbourne's seconds hasn't played in the seniors. You've got Brian Wilson, a Brownlow medalist, playing full forward for us.
How can you say we? You've had 4 clubs, haven't you?
Yeah, that's what so you've jumped around.
Doesn't say we, you say we.
I'm saying Melbourne will win, and there's only one bloke that hasn't played a game in the Melbourne first, David Orday.
Well,
best on the ground last week.
That could be against them. The Melbourne seniors haven't gone too well.
Carlton. I think Carlton reserves a win run.
I think Carlton will win too.
Kevin Bartlett?
I think Carlton reserves a win run. I mean, they've got players such as Ralph there at full forward, who kicked 8 goals a few weeks ago, voted best on the ground by the World of Sport panel. Young Dean there is a marvellous player down from the first. I think they're the sort of players. They've got a young kid called Mackenzie kicking a lot of goals also.
They couldn't play as badly as they did the other week against Melbourne.
No, I think Carlton will reverse it.
I'm going for Carlton.
You're going for Carlton, hey, Lou?
Well, Melbourne are not much good. Their seniors are just ordinary, aren't they, when you look at them? So how could they...
This is the reserves.
Will Ron be there for the game, Crackers, or will he be in America?
No, I don't know. He's gone somewhere. He mightn't come back.
And, of course, at 2:30, they bounce the ball for the 1984 big event, the grand final. Hawthorn and Essendon. Jack?
Well, I still like Hawthorn. I think they'll be able to cope with all that tagging and all that business they go on with, and I think they'll be able... And when you look at Hawthorn's win last time against Essendon, they had a few players down, and I think those players are too good to be down for 2 in succession. I think the little spell they've had now just suit them down to the ground.
John?
Well, I think that if Essendon don't give too many metres away in penalties, and they don't get too frilly if they get the ascendancy, I think that they'll win the grand final.
Peter?
I think I said earlier in the year, Ron Hawthorn a 3-goal better side than any side in the league, and I think that they can withstand pressure. They're a very even side, and I think that they'll win by about 3 goals.
Yeah.
Well, the second semi-final showed, Ron, that there's virtually nothing between these two sides, easily the best two right throughout the year. I think if you're going to pick someone, you've got to just go on form, and the fact that Hawthorn have won the last 4 day encounters, they must have something that's just given them the edge, and I'm going for Hawthorn.
Peter?
I'm going for Essendon. Young Williams, Thompson and Harvey were down in the first encounter, and they really put it together yesterday, and yes, Essendon will win. They're well coached too.
Oh.
I think most times the side that has a spell on preliminary final day is good enough to go on and be premiers, and I think Hawthorn will do likewise.
Well, it doesn't matter what the state of the game is. Hawthorn never changed their pattern or their style, and that's the big thing in their favour. They've beaten them 4 times in day games, and I couldn't see them losing again. I think they're coached by a top coach too that knows the basics of football. He's got it down pat when he says either they've got it, we've got it, or it's in neutral. It's as simple as that, coaching a football side.
OK, well, we'll have you all back next Saturday night, because World of Sport is on Saturday night, on grand final day, because of the Bathurst on Sunday, and we will be talking to you.
Thanks, Rod.